Hey there, Ole'Pops sitting here this afternoon, sitting in my office, my man cave, whatever y'all want to call it. My little smoking room, music room, TV room, where I retire when I want to be alone. I don't get much alone time. I don't get much private time. Come back here to enjoy me a pipe. I'm smoking today. My little Stanwell. It was a basket pipe. Well, that ain't gonna help none. Anyway, it's my little Stanwell basket pipe. It was a basket pipe at Muletown. And I'm smoking some Halls of Heartache. It's a little blend I come up with on my own. But I was kind of easing off on making videos. And kind of, here I am back on my phone here, trying to look and see who it was. I think it was Jack Barron that reminded me of a video subject that I had said that I was gonna do. That I had said I was gonna make a video, and never did make it. But he reminded me of the subject, and reminded me that I never did make that video. And I can't remember, I think that's who it was. Let me see. Yeah, it's Jack Barron. Yeah. Anyway, it was he was commenting on somebody else's video that I had commented on, and reminded me that he was still waiting to hear a story that I said I would tell. And it reminded me that I'd made this pact with myself that because of the restrictions and all the rules that we've been hassled with, I was just going to try being content to just be a lurker. And I know what y'all's content means to me, but I had about decided that my content wasn't worth a whole lot. I mean, I never did take into consideration that I've got damn near 760 viewers, but I don't put out that many videos anymore, so who really cares? Who really? But then somebody up like that and remind me of a content that I had mentioned making. And it reminded me that, hey, look, you brought it up and they remembered it. Anyway, I obliged myself, and someone's waiting on it. So I made the statement not too long ago that Jill delivered pizzas for a very reputable company, a pizza delivery service that's been around forever and ever and ever. And she stepped into that job as a part-time job, a job to a between jobs job to get her to her next job, and it ended up lasting her for 29 years, and she made a career out of it, and it ended up helping to raise four kids and buy a couple of houses. It fed us. It turned out to be anyway, I mentioned it on a couple of videos, and I made mention once in a video where she had a shining moment, and it obviously left an impression on somebody. I said that there was one particular story where she really delivered, ironically. After we had been living here we bought this place Gracie was born in 97. We bought the place in October of 98. And within the first 5 years of us living here, when we bought the place, there was a barn across the street instead of an Episcopal church. And we always thought it sort of interesting that the people that bought the property across the street from us was an insurance company. And right after they bought the place, the barn, which had just been loaded with fresh hay from the fields around it being cut and baled, but the barns caught fire. The barn caught fire, but there was a silo sitting right beside it that all my life, Cason Lane had been a dirt road, and I remember when they paved it, and I remember when they made a neighborhood over here, but when we moved in, they had houses along the street that ran back this way. And our house, the streets that ran down Cason Lane, there was houses here. But the barn was across the street, and there were no houses that ran on that side of the road. It was still pretty vacant. But the insurance company that bought that property over there, it didn't take but just 2 or 3 days after that insurance company bought that property, then all of a sudden, one evening at about 4:30, I guess Gracie couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old, that barn caught on fire. And I know that my kids had been over there playing in that barn. So I questioned them. I questioned them at length about it. And no, Dad, no, wasn't us. wasn't us. And I know that they had been over there playing earlier that afternoon, and I questioned Justin. I said, Justin, y'all didn't start that fire, did you? Did you take a lighter over there? Did you have matches? Did you have a candle over there? I questioned Emily, and no, Dad. And little Gracie was just real small. I even talked to her about it. Were you with them? Yeah. Did they have a lighter? Did they have any? No. So, and I at the time, I trusted my kids. I didn't think they'd lie to me. Well, as it turns out, they investigated it and turned it over to the arson unit. They ended up calling it arson. But they found out that insurance, as it turns out, the insurance company set it on fire for a payoff on it. And but my kids didn't do it. That's all I care about. But anyway, that night, that barn burned, and all of the neighbors that lived in this street. Now, there were houses on this side of the neighborhood, but not on that side. But all the neighbors that lived in this neighborhood all congregated out in my front yard and watched that damn barn burn. And all the houses that were, I guess, 100 yards that direction, at the end of the field that it sits in, it got so hot that you could actually see the vinyl siding melting on the houses that were down there on the end of that field. Anyway, Jill was at work. She was, like I said, working for a pizza delivery company. And when the cops and the firemen responded, they put a roadblock on each end, a block away from the actual access to the fire. They would not let traffic through, and I understand why. Obviously you want to keep traffic from interfering, and they put crime tape up to keep people away. They tried to make me go inside, and I told them, I said, hey, this is my front yard. You ain't gonna make me go nowhere. I ain't moving. So they started trying to run the crowd off, and people started asking me, can we stand here and watch? Can we? And I said, yeah, you got my permission to stand in my yard. And it just aggravated the out of them. So they started ignoring the crowd in my yard and turned back to the barn. And of course it's a big field. It's far enough away to where, my yard's plenty far enough, but you could just feel the heat coming off of it. And eventually they left us alone. And the old fella that lives 2 houses down from me, his name's Pete. I've never known his last name, but he's been here long as we have, and we've been here for 26 years now. Excuse me, we've been here for 24 years. Anyway, his wife, Annette, came down, and she said, that barn's been here for a long, long time. And I said, yep. And she said, that silo's been there as long as that barn has. And I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, it has. And she said, what do they put in silos? And I said, well, they put, I guess, essentially grain, and they put wet grain in it and let it ferment, make silage out of it, cattle feed and stuff like that. She said it ferments. And I said, yeah. She said, so essentially, in the bottom of it, it's got like And I got to thinking, I said, methane gas. Oh, and I went running across the street. About halfway across the street, I got grabbed by a cop. And he said, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "I got to get to a fireman." And he said, "I can't let you over there." And I said, "I got to get to a fireman." And I jerked free from him. And he reached out and grabbed me again. And I grabbed him by the shoulders. And I explained to him, I said, "That silo is about a quarter full of methane." I said, "It's about a quarter full of silage, which is fermented into methane. As soon as it gets hot enough, boom." His eyes got big. He let go of me. When he did, I jetted to the first fireman I could get to. And I said, "That silo is about a quarter full of silage. It's been sitting there that I know of, untouched, for 5 years. Ain't no telling how long it's been sitting before that." And he said, "Yeah, okay." And I said, "Methane gas." His eyes got big. He hit his radio and he started talking to somebody. All of a sudden I heard someone yell over a loudspeaker, "Get a hose on that silo. Get a hose on that silo." And then a number after that, and all of a sudden I saw 2 hoses hit that silo. I saw steam come rolling out of the bottom of it. It wasn't 3, 4 minutes after that, we saw the top blow off the top of it, the rounded dome. Boom! It must have jumped, I'd say, realistically, I'd say 12, 13 feet into the air. And then it fell off to the side, and flames started shooting out the top of it. At that point, I quit worrying about the silo exploding because it had a way to a place to go. But I went back over into my own yard so I wouldn't be harassed after that. Well, my kids were standing over there anyway. They were standing with neighbors I knew, but I wanted to go back over there with them anyway. But I went back over there, and my phone rang. I answered it, and it was my wife calling to see, "Do we need anything? I'm on my way home. I'm off." And I told her, I said, "No, we don't need anything, but you're not going to get home. You'll never get home." I told her, I said, "Your barn." And she said that the barn was one of the things that she appreciated the most about where we lived, because she said that was her little piece of the country. She could go out on the front porch and look across the street and see a barn and a silo, and she just feels like she's in the country. And I said, "The barn is on fire." I said, it's a total loss, but they've got the street blocked off on both ends. You'll never make it home." I said, "It's going to be shut down for quite a while." She said, "I'll get home." I said, "No, they've got it blocked off. They're detouring everybody." She said, "I'll make it home." I said, "Okay. You know what you're doing, I guess." I figured she'd park at the Church of Christ a couple of blocks away, and they'd make her walk home on the other side of the road or something. But no, about 20 minutes later, I see my wife's car coming down the road past this roadblock. I look down there, and way down the road I see a Domino's pizza delivery sign on top of a little PT Cruiser, a Chrysler PT Cruiser. And here comes Jill putting down the road real slowly past this police barricade with that Domino's pizza sign on top of her car. And she pulls right up in front of the house with a police motorcycle escort. She got right in front of the house, and then she swings right into the driveway. Police motorcycle turned around to look to see where she went, and she pulled right on up in front of the driveway. And I said, how in the hell did she do that? All of a sudden, she got out of the car and walked to the back, opened up the back end, and she pulls out 2 hot bags, and she gets out. She said, grab it out of the hot bag. And I grabbed the 3rd hot bag. She walked out to the road, and she says, pizza for the firemen, pizza for the firemen. And she opens up these hot bags and takes them to the other side of the road and sets them down on the sidewalk and starts pulling out boxed pizzas and setting them down there on the sidewalk. And one by one, these firemen come walking over there. She must have had 20 or 30 pizzas. Then she walks back to her car, lays these hot bags back in the car, shuts the tailgate, walks into the house. And I said, how in the world? She said, those are all the mismake pizzas that we had throughout the day. She said, generally what we do is at the end of the day, we throw those pizzas away. She said, I asked Vicky, I told her what was going on. Vicky was her boss. She said, I told her that there was a fire across the street. And she said, and there's no way I can get through the police barricade. Vicky said, got you covered. She said, take all those mismakes. They're going in the garbage anyway. She said, stick them in there and tell them you've got dinner for the policemen and for the firemen. She said, they'll let you through. She said, I promise you. So she pulls in. She tells the guy at the barricade that's stopping traffic, she said, I've got food for the first responders. The guy said, go ahead, let them through. She pulls in. Every damn one of them came up to her, and I don't know, it's like they wanted her to sign their autograph book or something. You know, they were patting her on the back. She got 2 or 3 tips before she could walk inside. You know, that she didn't charge them anything, but several of them gave her $1 or $2. I thought to myself, I said, now, if that wasn't using your head, use mismatched pizzas to get home. Essentially and basically garbage. They were, I kept thinking to myself over and over, there should be something that you could, I often thought that you could give these pizzas to the homeless, the mission, but they won't let them do that. Well, what can you do with them? You can throw them away. That's all they can do with them. But Jill said, mm-mm. She bagged them suckers up and brought them and donated them to them firemen. And it got her home. I thought to myself, I said, now that's just slicker than snot on a doorknob. But it was hot that night. It was about this time of the year, and it was hotter than hell's hinges. Let me tell you what, it was hot. But they were proud to get it. My garbage can was completely full of pizza boxes before the night was over. But I didn't care. The barn was gone. I didn't care. They built a beautiful little Episcopal church. It's no replacement for the barn. My kids can't go over there and play in that Episcopal church, but I don't have to worry about my kids going over there and setting that Episcopal church on fire. But I don't have to worry about them being blamed for that either. Anyway, Jill's shining moment. Well, one of Jill's shining moments. She has had very many, but that was the one that I was thinking about when I mentioned her, one of her shining moments. That was not her at her most shining, but that was the one that I was thinking about when I mentioned it. And Jax Barron, thank you for keeping that in mind, and thank you for bringing it to my attention. It really made me think. Much love, y'all. I'm Ole'Pops. Y'all be good to each other.